Hello, welcome back to Football League World TV. It's time for another debate show, and here we're looking at the League Two playoff race and who's going to be victorious in those spots between now and the end of the season. I'm your host, Dagless, and joining me this morning is Billy Mulley and Marcus Ally. Billy, how are you?
Yeah, well, good. Thank you. Just saying to Marcus before we went on air that it's one of the more exciting races at the moment, and it's something that I wouldn't take over to the betting show tomorrow. My selections.
Yeah, certainly tough to call as it stands, but we're going to try to do our best anyway. Marcus, how are you getting on?
Yeah, really well. Thanks, George. Always seems to go down to the wire to the final day in League Two. So yeah, an exciting sort of group of teams battling it out to look to call in today's show.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. League Two fans, get in touch with us. We're across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for the next 20 or so minutes. Let us know who do you think is going to be victorious in the playoffs this season. Let's get straight into it. So a good place to start would probably be just trying to sort of clarify how we think the League Two table's looking at the moment. I think first of all, it's probably fair to say that Forest Green are going to run away with it and aren't going to drop into the playoff places. Billy, do you think that's fair enough?
Yeah, I think Forest Green are looking at like one of the best teams that League Two have seen in a long time. Every time they're sort of dealt a test where you expect it to be tight or you expect, an informed team to give them problems, they seemingly thrive and put in an even better performance than they have done against other teams this season. So yeah, I think we're quite sure with Forest Green going up. And yeah, if there's any certainty to this show, I think it's predicting that Forest Green should be rightly crowned champions.
Yeah, Marcus, you'd agree with that, I would guess, on Forest Green.
Yeah, similar sentiments to Billy. They've been a class above this season. I think their 4-0 win at second place Tranmere a few weeks ago demonstrated just the gap that there is between Forest Green and the rest of the division. It's not very common that we see a side run away with a league title in the EFL to this extent, particularly in League Two, you'd probably say as well. So that just speaks volumes to the job that Rob Edwards has done and the upward trajectory that Forest Green are on. I'm sure they'll definitely fancy their chances of having a good crack in League One next season.
Okay, that's the easy bit done, I would say, for the show. Now we're going to have to make some more tougher predictions. I think it's probably fair to say. Let's look at which sides are probably going to end up, or we think are probably going to end up in the top three first of all and escape the playoff lottery. Currently second are Tranmere Rovers, and in third, Exeter City, who have been flying in recent weeks. And then you've got the likes of Northampton, Sutton United, Mansfield and Newport, who occupy the rest of the playoff places, but will all feel definitely that they can get in to that top three position by the end of the season. Marcus, let's come to you first on this one then. Which two sides do you think are going to go up with Forest Green via the automatic spots?
Well, this was a really tricky one. I've kind of narrowed it down to 2 from 5. I've dropped Northampton Town and Sutton United out of sort of top three contention. I just think the Cobs have been far too reliant on set pieces this season, and along with Tranmere, Rovers have been one of the lowest scorers. Tranmere, the lowest scorers inside the top 13, and Northampton have just scored 2 or 3 more goals than them. Sutton have been drawing a little bit recently, which has, of course, slowed their progress in pursuing the top 3. They were unbeaten in 10 before defeat last night. But I just think it might be a little bit too much for Sutton to stay with the pack. Obviously, Exeter and Mansfield stand out. I think Vale, Newport and Tranmere are in with a shout. And I do think Tranmere will just be able to hold on under Mickey Mellon. He's done it before. They've put together some sensational runs this season and they're just able to stay in games on a consistent basis. So I think with the lead that they've already got over some of the clubs around them, they are going to be able to stay in that top 2. And then it was really between Mansfield and Exeter, two sides on unbelievable runs. Exeter won 6 of their last 7, Mansfield unbeaten in 11, winning 9. And I just shaded towards Nigel Clough's men. I think there could be a little bit of scarring with Exeter and narrow misses in the League Two promotion race in recent years. And yeah, Nigel Clough seems to be on a steep upward trajectory. And of course, the Stags with some very eye-catching January transfer business. I think they might be able to just steal a march on the sides around them and even overtake Tranmere to come in second place. I think that will be quite close and maybe something that goes down to the final few weeks of the season. But I've got FGR top, second Mansfield and third place Tranmere Rovers.
Okay, yeah, Mansfield, as we mentioned, Marcus, not too long ago when we did a show specifically on the Stags, in great form, haven't they? They've been in great form in recent weeks and done some good business as well. In January, they'd certainly feel as though they're top three contenders now. And Billy, let's just talk the top three then from your perspective. Obviously, we've confirmed that we think Forest Green are going up as champions. Which other two sides do you think are going to be going straight up with them into League One?
Yeah, for me, it was quite a similar line of thinking to Marcus, where I had 4 teams and had to try and select the 2. It was difficult, and there's still a lot of sort of opinions and justifications for the other teams that I will mention. But for me, I think it's going to be Exeter and Mansfield. I think with Exeter at the moment, they're as Marcus said, near misses is something that we associate quite a lot with Exeter, but it seems something's been different this season. You go back to earlier in the campaign when they were on that unbeaten run. They looked unplayable at times, and you think if they would have played Forest Green at that time, and they would have given them a very good game. But yeah, they've sort of regrouped and recuperated slightly. They seem to be on this unbeaten run again. 6 wins and 2 draws, and it's been quite a relatively difficult run of fixtures as well. So in that respect, I think Exeter have done very well to not only put themselves in contention for the playoffs, but come out on the other side and actually put themselves into a position where automatics are really on the cards. I think last night they proved that they can win in different ways. I think up until last night's result, it's been quite steady, been relying on a resilient defence and doing just enough to win games. But yesterday they dealt with the setbacks of going 2-0 down and then 3-1 down very well to come out and emerge victorious. I think that's a good sign for a team. Mansfield, I think Marcus has pretty much hit the nail on the head. Everything to do with them at the moment. 11 games unbeaten, taking 29 points from those games. So it's been an incredible run of fixtures, and they've only conceded twice in the last 6 as well. So from a statistical point of view, everything seems to be pointing in that direction. The quality they've managed to add to the squad this season as well, how they managed to secure the signing of Matty Longstaff is just incredible, really, when you think that the kind of player he is and the kind of calibre that Newcastle rate him at, because they do view him as a very, very good player for the future. And to secure a player of his standards is going to be crucial in what remains of this season. And just mentioning Tranmere there, I think looking at expected goals and looking at just goals scored in general, it doesn't really seem to satisfy or justify why they should be included in the top 3. Of course, defensively all season they've been very resilient, and that could be crucial. But ultimately, I think Mansfield and Exeter will have a bit too much. Another team I did consider was Port Vale as well. They seem out of the chasing pack, the teams that are not currently in the top 7, the best equipped to go on a run. Got a very strong squad. And also in terms of expected goals as well, that they're a team that satisfy that. So, I can see them pushing them, but ultimately I think it will be Exeter and Mansfield that secure the top 2 spots. And I'd pushed for an answer, I'd probably go Mansfield second, Exeter third.
Okay, yeah, Exeter certainly probably the form team, I think it's fair to say, in League 2 at the moment. So let's talk now that chasing pack. We mentioned the teams in the playoff spots already: Northampton, Sutton, Mansfield and Newport. But just outside that, Swindon, Port Vale and Salford will definitely feel as though they're in contention for a top 7 spot by the end of the year. Below them, then you look at the likes of Bristol Rovers, who have picked up under Joe Barton. Bradford City, obviously a managerial change, potentially that could help them. Crawley Town, who are typically inconsistent, and Hartlepool United, who are another one of the form teams at the moment. So they're on 40 points or above those sides. 7th place currently is Newport on 48 points. A few teams have different games in hand. I guess the question is, where is the cut-off point, do you feel realistically, for the teams that are in contention for a playoff spot? Marcus, we'll come to you first on this one. Where do you think it kind of ends realistically for teams in League 2?
I cut it off at Bradford. I can't really put enough faith in Crawley with how up and down they seem to be. Hartlepool as well. Before this little resurgence, they had been on sort of relegation form since Dave Challoner had left the club. So it's good to see them turn a corner and definitely look to be sort of heading in the right direction under Graham Lee, but I don't think they'll be able to build the sort of consistency of results that they'll need to make up that gap. I definitely see Bristol Rovers as possible contenders. I think they've come out the other side of a really difficult first half of the season. They've got a lot of work to do, and they might just come up short, but they'll definitely be building strongly towards next season. Salford have definitely got a chance, just 4 points behind Newport in 7th. Nice to see them finally showing a little bit of patience in a manager. But once again, they've played a little bit more than some of the teams around them as well. So maybe don't rank as well on PPG as the likes of Bristol Rovers and some of the other teams above them. Maybe it is in context a little bit more than a 4 point gap to the playoffs for them. I think Swindon have fallen away, sadly. Tyree Simpson's loss was a very significant one in January, and they were winless in 5 before, of course, getting a win in their last encounter. I fully expect Port Vale to get into the playoffs comfortably. And then finally on to Bradford. They've been solid all season, really, performance data-wise, looking at the XG standings. They've always been in and around the top 5. So it wouldn't be a surprise to see an upturn in form come in the coming months, not really to do with whoever replaces Derek Adams, but just because that was the way that their season was running. They have underperformed in both boxes on a consistent basis. So a lot of draws as well. I can see them turning into wins. They might push themselves into the conversation. I don't think they'll have enough to get into the top 7 though. So maybe Bristol Rovers is a team sort of going under the radar to keep an eye on, but it's a big ask for anyone really below the likes of Port Vale and Swindon.
Okay, Billy, how do you call it? Where do you think there's mathematically there's obviously a cut-off line quite further down the league table, but realistically, who do you think's perhaps the last team that can sneak into this playoff race?
Yeah, similar to Marcus, I had Bradford, based on points, based on the potential that a new manager can come in and get the best out of the squad, because I think looking at the squad alone, it's a very, very strong League Two squad. We said it from the start of the season. We said it pretty much in November as well. We've said it all season that they do have a very, very strong squad on paper. And as Marcus said there, they do satisfy the statistics very well. I think expected goals, they're 2nd or 3rd. So in that respect, we do expect them to start to put some form together. Inconsistency has been what's plagued them all season. They've played really well at times, but also had some very, very disappointing losses. Something that the new manager, whoever will be tasked with the Bradford job, will be looking to eliminate straight away. And should they improve in both boxes, then I can see them. I can see them sneaking in. I think Bristol Rovers as well were a team that on the same sort of bracket where inconsistency has halted them a little bit this season, but they're a little bit of a better position than Bradford. That results have started to pick up slightly, and I think Elliot Anderson coming in is a real good addition, considering there was Championship and League One interest, as well as remaining at Newcastle and seeing a little bit of first team football from the bench. So to be able to secure his signing, I'm sure will be big in their pursuit of securing a top 7 spot. And then you look at Tranmere at the moment. They are in the top 3, but it looks like they might be one to be displaced if Mansfield and Exeter continue on their upward trajectory. Northampton as well in and around the automatic promotion shout, but I think they might be confined to a top 7 spot. Sutton, I don't know if they have what it takes. I think coming on the back of their 10-game unbeaten run, I think they were a little bit fortunate at times coming into the end of that run. And then Newport as well, that they've shown some signs of slowing down, but with Dom Telford up top, I'm sure they'll continue to score the goals that's required. So as we said before, it's a real exciting race. Who will get the sort of the 4 places outside the automatic promotion zone? But push for an answer again, I think I'd go for Tranmere, Northampton, Port Vale, and then between Bristol Rovers and Bradford, which is difficult to call, but I'll probably just go for Bradford.
Okay, that's going to be quite an interesting few weeks and months if that comes to fruition, Billy. There's certainly a few changes on the way there in the playoff spot. So, Marcus, let's get your 4 then. Which sides can you see making a playoff position theirs by the end of the year?
So I've got Exeter just missing out on automatic promotion, as I previously stated. Obviously, Billy pushing the Grecians up into that top 3. I've got them to finish 4th. Newport County in 5th place. They have been on a little bit of a blip, I think winless in 3, but I can see them getting it together and pushing back up the table a little bit. Port Vale into 6th place. I'm not writing them off from automatic promotion, but it might get a little bit trickier with the fixture congestion that they've had. If it wasn't for an injury crisis, I think they'd probably be right up with the likes of Tranmere and Exeter in the top 3 at the moment. And then in 7th place, I was tied between Sutton or Northampton Town. I just edged towards Matt Gray's side. Sutton have been great to follow this season. And I think they've got a few more angles to their attack than Northampton. They're very reliant on keeping clean sheets, are the Cobblers. Sutton, a bit more exciting wide players and strikers, Isaac Olafe and David Adjaboy, really edge of your seat players at League 2 level. They were 10 unbeaten before, of course, losing out yesterday evening. So I just feel like there's a great momentum around Sutton at the moment. So I think they can cling on and get 7th place behind, of course, Exeter 4th, Newport 5th, Vale 6th, and then Sutton taking the final playoff spot.
Okay, so both of you have now outlined your top 7s and obviously outlined the 3 that are going to go up via the automatic spots, but we're talking purely playoffs here, so it's time to get to our conclusion and pick who's going to win at Wembley come May in the League 2 playoff final. Billy, let's come to you first of all. Which side can you see out of the 4 that you picked for the playoffs emerging victorious?
Well, it's one of the teams that I could see 6th and 7th being in the final. I could see Tranmere and perhaps Northampton taking 4th and 5th, but I think it'll be one of the teams that come into the playoffs in form that might go on and see promotion to League 1. I think Port Vale, it's inevitable that they'll go on a good run once injury crisis sort of eases, once that they can get back into the swing of things. Obviously, a congested fixture list, but when you're winning games, that can sometimes come as a bit of a blessing. So Port Vale for me will just about edge it against Bristol Rovers or Bradford, whoever take that final spot. Okay,
Marcus, how do you see it breaking down?
I'm also going with Vale. Yeah, I'm feeling very big on them going into the next few months. I'd have them to beat Newport in the semi-final and Exeter to edge out Sutton United. And then sadly for the Grecians, a gut-wrenching 4th playoff final loss in the last 6 years with Darryl Clark's side prevailing. Port Vale since being taken over, I think, towards the back end of maybe 2018-19, a couple of seasons ago. Have been a much improved side. Have been operating better in the transfer market. They've been playing some really nice football under Clark this season. I think they've got the experience in the side to be able to handle the pressure and carry on the momentum that I can see sort of pushing them into the promotion mix in the coming months. So yeah, Port Vale to go up in the playoffs if they're not able to scrape into the top 3.
Okay, could be an exciting few months then for Vale fans, judging by Billy and Marcus's predictions here for the playoff victors in League 2. One more show to come on Football League World TV today, and that's at 4 o'clock. Sam Rourke's hosting that one. Billy's joining him again. It's another debate show. Which Premier League loanies performing the best in the EFL right now? There's certainly plenty to pick from. That'll be an interesting show, I'm sure. Marcus, Billy, great to get your thoughts this morning on the League 2 playoff race. So many teams involved. Certainly don't envy you having to pick a name there, but you've both gone for Port Vale, so no pressure if you both get it wrong by the end of the season. Just a quick plug for Football League World TV. Do subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you can, and do like this video as well. That'd be greatly appreciated by all of us here at Football League World. But for myself, Billy and Marcus, it's bye for now.